Once again, Trump brought up the cognitive test. He claims he aced. He bragged about getting all A's on his physical, and he pushed back bigly against a report in the New York Times that said he's been cutting back his schedule because he's showing signs of fatigue, which is ridiculous. I mean, does this look like a man who is showing signs of fatigue?
We're going to build ships, $150 billion worth of ships in America that changes the way things work.
Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke. Now he's openly rooting for NBC to fire Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers and the hundreds of Americans who work for their shows who don't make millions of dollars.
And I think that they are going to be very surprised. I'm talking about the Trump people and the MAGA nation by what's going to happen on Tuesday. Not only do I feel, to answer your question 10 minutes later, that I feel the same way that I felt a few weeks ago that Trump is toast. Absolutely.
Donald Trump is having a devastating Sunday morning. His minions like MAGA Mike Johnson are out there, this Turning Point USA event, saying that, look, we're going to face impeachment of Donald Trump unless something changes. If Democrats take control, they're going to impeach this guy for all that he's doing. Oh, don't threaten us with a good time, MAGA Mike. Here's what MAGA Mike just said moments ago. Let's play this clip.
But if we lose the House majority, the radical left, as you've already heard, is going to impeach President Trump. They're going to create absolute chaos. We cannot let that happen. And
Two voices, two different platforms, one shared mission, exposing Donald Trump as the threat he is to American democracy. Throughout 2024 and 2025, comedian Jimmy Kimmel and documentary filmmaker Michael Moore have waged separate but equally devastating campaigns against Trump. Kimmel from his late-night show, facing government censorship and FCC threats, and Moore through his documentaries, Substack writings, and media appearances predicting Trump's inevitable downfall.
We must remove and replace the system and the culture that gave us Trump in the first place. He did not just fall out of the sky and land in Queens. He is the result of a decades-long corporate takeover of our democracy.
President Trump flew to Rome to pay his respects and also to see if he could get a deal on the Pope Mobile to drive around his golf course. For whatever reason, even though the Vatican dress code specifically recommended a dark suit for the service, Trump showed up in his bluest blue suit, something from the Cedric the Entertainer funeral collection. You know, Fox News, you may remember, had a collective aneurysm when President Obama wore a tan suit to a press briefing. Man, oh man, if Obama wore in a blue suit to the Pope's funeral, Sean Hannity's head would explode inside Trump's ass.
Let's talk about some of the devastating news Donald Trump got this morning. Again, new polling shows that he, again, least popular president ever. Approval ratings only at 41%, 59% disapproval. But when you take a look at one of these crosstabs about Trump's approval trends among Hispanic voters right here, in February, it was 49% approve, 51% disapprove. Right now, as we head into the Christmas holidays and New Year, approvals at 29%, disapprovals at 71%, so negative 42, a net 40-point negative swing in that time.
While they've attacked Trump from different angles, both men have done something remarkable. They've refused to back down even when threatened, silenced, or proven wrong. They've used humor, analysis, and unflinching truth to systematically dismantle Trump's lies and expose his authoritarian tactics. This is the story of how Jimmy Kimmel and Michael Moore, each in their own way, on their own stages, have destroyed Trump's carefully constructed image and revealed the fragile, desperate man beneath.
I hope that if that happens, or if there's even any hint of that happening, you will be 10 times as loud as you were this week. We have to speak out against it. Pete Hegseth announced a new policy that requires journalists with Pentagon press credentials to sign a pledge.
Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send it back, and nobody's going to buy them.
Now, just talking about that Turning Point USA event just for a moment as well, it's now being led by Erica Kirk, and she had quite the slip of the tongue when she was speaking earlier, and she said, yeah, it's all a grift. This is all a grift, she basically said. I mean gift, I mean grit, I mean gift grit. Watch what just went down. Here, play this clip.
Despite the devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU, Caleb has persisted with the same gift. Grit. It has been a long day. Trust me, you're not a grifter, honey. It's all good.
From Kimmel's heroic return after government suspension to Moore's apocalyptic warnings about Trump's overreach, these two men represent the best of American resistance. Courage under fire, truth over power, and the refusal to let authoritarianism win without a fight. Before we expose how these two men have systematically dismantled Trump, hit that subscribe button. We're bringing you the political accountability that mainstream media refuses to cover. Subscribe now, and let's hold power accountable together.
If you hold down the woman while the rapist is raping her, and you didn't rape her, are you a rapist? I mean, let's cut the BS and start speaking honestly.
That's a very powerful and uncomfortable anecdote that you share, and people will think that you're comparing Trump voters to racists. I mean, to rapists.
Yeah, and it's uncomfortable, isn't it?
The other luxury experience Trump is currently planning is this Gaza-Lago nonsense. You know, there's a lot of weird stuff on the internet, especially with AI. But this is a video that was posted on the official social media accounts of and by the President of the United States.
Donald is coming to set you free, bringing the light for all to see. No more tunnels, no more fear. Trump Gaza is finally here. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, #1. Trump Gaza shining bright, golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza, #1.
Of course, on Friday, we reported how Elise Stefanik, the MAGA Republican from New York, not only quit the governor's race there, but she quit politics altogether. She's been shamed and humiliated, and so many of these MAGA Republicans are on this retirement watch list. Expect them to announce resignations, I think, in the coming days or perhaps even weeks. We're focused on that right now. And folks, also, the American people are absolutely livid at the Trump regime's handling of the economy. From that same CBS poll, only 5% of Americans view the economy right now as an A, whereas the vast majority of Americans, about 70%, give the economy either a C or an F.
Jimmy Kimmel, the comedian who became a freedom fighter. Let's start with Jimmy Kimmel, because his story in 2024-2025 is nothing short of extraordinary. Kimmel has been trolling Trump since the beginning. In March 2024, he read Trump's Truth Social attack on him live during the Oscars broadcast to millions of viewers. Trump had posted his usual insecure nonsense, and Kimmel, hosting the Academy Awards, stopped the show to read it aloud and mock it. That set the tone for everything that followed.
Election day, although they lost their jobs, although they've been foreclosed on by the bank, next came the divorce, and now the wife and kids are gone. The car's been repoed. They haven't had a real vacation in years. They're stuck with the Obamacare bronze plan where you can't even get a Percocet. They've essentially lost everything they had.
Our Secretary of Health and Human Sacrifice, RFK Jr., appeared with President Trump at the White House today to unveil his report on chronic disease that warns about the toxins found in ultra-processed foods like fried chicken, fast food burgers and fries, pepperoni pizza, soft drinks, ice cream bars, and so on. And Trump sat right next to him listening to all this. Listen, Trump's favorite food is toxins. His blood type is honey mustard. He's not gonna, I'm glad RFK's working on this. None of it is gonna get done. When Trump finally figures out he's trying to take away his Doritos, mark my words, Bobby is out and Diddy is in. That's right.
views the economy as being absolutely horrible, because it is absolutely horrible at this time, and very few people actually view this economy as good. I guess unless you're like a multimillionaire or a billionaire, it's the only way that you'll think this is good. But look, as I mentioned, Donald Trump has his minions out there again today. They're out there saying everything is A+. Like here is the MAGA Republican Senator Mark Wayne Mullen saying, in the Senate, the Republicans, we did a solid A+ job, solid A+ job. This is what he says here. Let's play this clip.
I would say we give us a solid A+, because we have broke just about every record that previous Senate has been able to do. And that's been underneath the leadership of John Thune, of John Brasso, working step in step with the White House every single day.
The September 2025 suspension, when America saw real censorship. But the real defining moment came in September 2025 when the Trump administration did something unprecedented in American history. They got a major network to suspend a late-night host for criticizing the president. Here's what happened. On September 10th, 2025, conservative activist Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It was a tragedy. Every late-night host handled it with appropriate solemnity, except the shows mostly didn't air that night because they were pre-recorded.
Last month, you wrote Trump is toast. We're almost 48 hours out from perhaps seeing our first results, but do you stand behind that today?
Oh, even more so. I just keep wondering the gift that the Trump campaign keeps giving us. I don't think they realize, I don't think they really are in touch with where the majority of Americans are at. Listen, we've had 250 years of nobody in the White House who's a woman. That's 250 years of gender apartheid. It ends this week. What a great week to be alive. That's what I wanted to say.
The fact that he was the only person not wearing a dark suit did not go unnoticed. So the White House press secretary pushed back. She said the president looked great and presidential alongside our stunning first lady, who was, as usual, dressed perfectly for the occasion. And she's right about Melania. I don't know about stunning, but she definitely looks stunned. Show them together, because this is the happiest I've ever seen these two together. It's like they're on their second honeymoon or something.
Trump sending his minions out as they're involved in this cover-up of a child sex trafficking ring. They violated the Epstein Transparency Act. You saw the reports we've done earlier today on the Midas Touch Network where they're deleting files that have already been produced. So they've only produced about 5% of the overall files that the DOJ has. They were required to produce 100% and just redact the names of victims, actual victims, and redact their faces or photos or videos where the actual victims are. Now the Trump regime is saying the perpetrators, the rich men who were working with Epstein, that they're the real victims. The Trump regime has redacted basically everything, and they've turned over only 5% of the records. There were a few slip-ups where there was like a photo or two of Donald Trump, then they deleted those.
Kimmel posted condolences on Instagram, expressing horror at the killing. But behind the scenes, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, a Trump appointee who literally wrote the FCC chapter of Project 2025, was building a case against Kimmel. On September 18, 2025, ABC announced they were suspending Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely. The stated reason? Pressure from the FCC, threats from Trump's administration, and crucially, two massive station groups, Nexstar and Sinclair, refused to air the show, claiming Kimmel had said something inappropriate about Kirk's assassination.
Once again, Trump brought up the cognitive test. He claims he aced. He bragged about getting all A's on his physical, and he pushed back bigly against a report in the New York Times that said he's been cutting back his schedule because he's showing signs of fatigue, which is ridiculous. I mean, does this look like a man who is showing signs of fatigue?
We're going to build ships, $150 billion worth of ships in America. That changes the way things work.
We also rescinded the supplemental statement that discouraged the fiduciaries from considering the alternative assets for 401ks.
Making sure our students can read by reintroducing the science of reading in schools.
This war started, it never would have happened if you'd been president. But this war is going on, and the president is trying to end it, not because, listen, we got a million things to focus on in the world as a country, but he's the only leader in the world that can help end it. And that's why even as we speak to you now.
On deregulation, HHS proudly is now leading the pack.
I mean, if you could sleep through that voice, you are tired. You are fatigued. Tell us again how sleepy Joe is, will you? Of course he's tired. He was up all night posting.
Donald Trump came to the Detroit Economic Club and stood there in front of the Ford Motor executives and said, if you close these factories as you're planning to do in Detroit and build them in Mexico, I'm going to put a 35% tariff on those cars when you send them back, and nobody's going to buy them.
So when we went back to the DOJ website, they deleted those from the files. So Kristen Welker asks Todd Blanche, so why was this photo of Donald Trump that was produced, why was it taken down from the DOJ website? Why did you remove it? And watch Todd Blanche just give you a bunch of word salad because they're covering up the photos that have Donald Trump in it. That's why. Here, play this clip.
Produced. Mr. Blanche, I want to follow up with you on what you just said. You were referencing the 15 files released Friday. They disappeared from DOJ's website yesterday, including this photo of what looks like a desk with a drawer open containing photos of Donald Trump. Just to be very clear, to put a fine point on it, why were these files taken down? You're saying it was at the direction of a judge?
Kimmel hadn't said anything inappropriate on air. The controversy was manufactured. The suspension was political retaliation, pure and simple. Trump celebrated on Truth Social. Great news for America, he posted when Kimmel was suspended. FCC Chairman Carr, the same guy who claims to oppose government censorship, had threatened ABC stations. Nexstar was seeking FCC approval for a $6.2 billion merger. They caved to government pressure instantly. And just like that, one of Trump's most vocal critics was silenced. But America wasn't having it.
Except one thing. The one thing that doesn't cost them a cent and is guaranteed to them by the American Constitution, the right to vote. Trump's election is going to be the biggest ever recorded in human history.
I gotta say, I think he kind of gets it. I mean, he's been out there talking to the people, and he hears their frustration, and it's for that reason that he thinks this will be a Brexit-type scenario.
Just see men with beards and bikinis. Even Kim Jong-un is like, that's a little much, you know? That video, it's a perfect example of who Donald Trump is. He doesn't think about the death or the suffering. He doesn't care about the people who've been killed or held hostage or don't have homes. What does he care about? Building hotels on that. There is no problem that can't easily be solved with a real estate development named after him. The worst part is he thinks that looks like fun. He thinks it looks great. It's like a cruise ship crashed into Saddam Hussein's house or something. Who would even want to go to a place like this?
Well, you can see in that photo, there's photographs of women. And so we learned after releasing that photograph that there were concerns about those women and the fact that we had put that photo up. So we pulled that photo down. It has nothing to do with President Trump. There are dozens of photos of President Trump already released to the public, seeing him with Mr. Epstein. He has said that in the 90s and early 2000s, he socialized with him. So the absurdity of us pulling down a photo, a single photo, because President Trump was in it, is laughable. And the fact that everybody's trying to act like that's the case is a reflection of their true motivation. But the reality is anybody, any victim's lawyers, any victim rights group can reach out to us and say, hey, Department of Justice, there's a document, there's a photo, there's something within the Epstein files that identifies me, and we will then, of course.
From Kimmel's heroic return after government suspension to Moore's apocalyptic warnings about Trump's overreach, these two men represent the best of American resistance. Courage under fire, truth over power, and the refusal to let authoritarianism win without a fight. Before we expose how these two men have systematically dismantled Trump, hit that subscribe button. We're bringing you the political accountability that mainstream media refuses to cover. Subscribe now, and let's hold power accountable together.
Is more powerful than reality in this magosphere we live in, which meant it was time for our Commander-in-Cheeseburger to weigh in on one of the most pressing issues our military faces today, unattractive battleships.
You know, in the Second World War, they were freighters at different times, but we were doing a ship a day, and now we don't do ships. And I'm not a fan of some of the ships you do. I'm a very aesthetic person, and I don't like some of the ships you're doing aesthetically. They say, oh, it's stealth. I say, that's not stealth. An ugly ship is not necessary.
Politician, Republican or Democrat, had ever said anything like that to these executives. And it was music to the ears of people in Michigan and Ohio and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. And it's why every beaten down, nameless, forgotten working stiff who used to be part of what was called the middle class loves Trump. He is the human Molotov cocktail.
Jimmy Kimmel, the comedian who became a freedom fighter. Let's start with Jimmy Kimmel, because his story in 2024-2025 is nothing short of extraordinary. Kimmel has been trolling Trump since the beginning. In March 2024, he read Trump's Truth Social attack on him live during the Oscars broadcast to millions of viewers. Trump had posted his usual insecure nonsense, and Kimmel, hosting the Academy Awards, stopped the show to read it aloud and mock it.